Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Springbok press conference. We are kicking off a little earlier just for housekeeping reasons, so that we have more time on the press conference itself. We've got Rassie Erasmus, Director of Rugby, Springbok Head Coach Jacques Nienaber, and SAA Coach Mzwandile Stick with us here today. If I can just ask the usual guys, please just ask one question at a time. So that we can try and get in as many questions as possible. And then if there is obviously a chance for a second question, we will get to that. We'll do a little isiXhosa and Afrikaans at the end, and then we are dedicating the last 5 minutes to to the Sunday newspapers, so that they've got something fresh for Sunday as well as we depart on Saturday. So please just bear that in mind when asking questions. And without
Z.
Yes, Deej?
Sorry, I just want to jump in. Simon Rickert, can you net jou camera afsit asseblief? I think you're in a car. Dankie.
Dankie, jammer.
Veilig ry.
Okay, and then you know the drill. Just raise your hand for questions, and then we can get going. So first question, Mubin.
Hi, good morning, Jacques. Good morning, Rassie. Good morning, Stick. Rassie, I've just asked, we've seen the big ambition of Dwayne Vermeulen. Is there a reason for that? I'll ask, and then just Stick. I'm going to squeeze a second question in. Just Coach Stick, with your SAA side. We all know the box DNA and sort of the style that they play. With your SAA side, will you be looking to change that a little bit for the ball and approach? Thanks.
Hello, morning, everybody, guys and ladies. Just the question on Dwayne. Even if Frans Steyn was also fit, he wouldn't have been selected for this game. You know, we always had a plan during rugby championships, and you know what we want to try and achieve there. And some of the guys, you know, who's getting a little bit older in the legs, but can still make it to the World Cup. You know, we have seen enough and know the commitment, and we think a guy like Dwayne doesn't need any more experience now. And this tour is probably the perfect tour where you play number 1, 2 in the world, to try and see how some of the other youngsters, if they get the opportunity, you know, less than a year out from the World Cup. And he's getting really well managed at Ulster. You know, they really manage him well. So we don't feel he needs any more experience. And the guys who's pushing really hard, which we included in the loose forwards, you know, those guys we believe will get an opportunity in those 6 games.
Yeah, the question regarding the style of play. First things first, I think if you think about our preparations, we'll probably have one training session when it comes to defense, one training session when it comes to our kicking game. So there won't be really a lot of time to try a lot of things, you know. But one thing I can promise you is that a lot of the players that we'll be working with, they've been with us in our camps, and they've also been with us in our alignment camps at the beginning of the year. So they understand very well that how we want to play the game. And regarding to the style of play, once again, I always tell people, listen, if the opportunities are there for us to put the ball through hands, you know what, we will do that if the game allows and the conditions they do allow. But otherwise, I don't think we're going to change much because of, once again, we don't have all the time in the world to come up with different options and different structures, you know. So we're probably not far from what the Springboks are doing. But yeah, once again, if the opportunity comes in the game where we can put ball through hands, then the opportunity will write everything.
Brendan now?
Thanks, guys. All the best of the tour.
Yes.
Morning, guys. Jacques, maybe for you, just if you can maybe chat a bit about the selection of the fly-offs and the Johan Goosen obviously not having enough game time probably to make it into the box squad. You're thinking around there, and also just Jason Jenkins.
Okay, the fly-offs, yes, I think we obviously, I don't want to call them number 1 and 2, but the 2 guys that we used, or actually 3 guys that we used consistently since 2018, Andre, Elton, and Frans, unfortunately, is not available. And but we've got some good. Damien has done a great job for us at fly-off this year, and yes, Johan Goosen. we earmarked him when we had our discussions in February. He was the guy that we said, okay, listen, who will be our third choice, or not third choice, but who's the next fly off if we do get an injury, and we earmarked him. But unfortunately, things went. Fortunately for us, he spent some time with us in the whole preparation camp that we had before the Welsh tests and also before the rugby championship. So he's been with us on the field. He helps Stocker with some coaching stuff. So he's got a pretty good idea how we operate and how we do things. But unfortunately, like you mentioned, yes, I think he played a total of 160 minutes over the URC. We would have liked some more minutes, but it didn't go that way, and that's why we've got some exciting young fly-offs in South Africa, and we got 3 nice young fly-offs that are all producing for their franchises in the URC. So we're quite excited to see if they do get an opportunity, how they will step up to that. And then in terms of Jason, I think Jason, obviously, I think he's got 1 cap for South Africa, and that was our first test match that Rassie was head coach, that we started working together in 2018 against Wales in Washington, and then obviously after that Jason left for abroad, and I just think he had a bad run. Last year. For Munster, he played 10 games. He only started 20% of the games. He had a lot of injuries and stuff that he had to get through. But I mean, this year he played 5 games now for Leinster, and he's playing good rugby. He's playing consistently, starting games, finishing games. Scored 2 great tries. So he's really playing good rugby.
Maybe just to add to that, if I might. Just with Ergie Snyman, we've been always waiting for Ergie Snyman because we all know what a freak Ergie is as an athlete and what he can do for us at the box. Last time he's played for us, I think, was at the World Cup. Yeah. So we've always, and Ergie has been into camp with us, sharing a week or 2 with us the way we do things again, just to get up to speed. But then he gets another setback. So and a guy like Jason is almost the typical front lock that we think. With Ergie, we have to at some stage start thinking, will Ergie make it to the World Cup? And I think, if we leave it till after this interview tour, we'll be taking a big risk not to make sure there's maybe a 3rd or a 4th front lock. And I think Jason is somebody who will probably give us some of those answers, hopefully, when we play these 6 games on tour.
Ives?
Morning, gents. Hope you're well. Just quickly for Rassie, Cornel Hendricks's inclusion, does that sort of mean that the uncertainty about his readiness, and things, have been addressed? And for Coach Stocker, just how nice is it to have a guy of that experience in your back line?
Yeah, I'll quickly go just on the technical side of things, So again, I want to mention a few things, because a lot of people sometimes say, why are you not picking this guy? Why are you not picking this guy? Guy like, Mados, Tamboes and those guys, there's always, if you wonder or something like that, some guy just doesn't qualify. And it's not us who can't, just pick those guys. So there's a lot of guys who people name out there, and who we see is playing well. Even the Tutuka brothers, it will, until they qualify for us, we can absolutely do nothing about that. But then who did that again? Cornell we couldn't pick him. Sorry, Cornell we couldn't pick him. From our side at SA Rugby, we didn't get the green light that medically we could pick him, but that has been sorted out through hard work himself, and the Bulls helped us, and the legal teams and the medical teams, and it's been really a process. I think a year ago we said we're working on that, and we're trying to get him eligible to play it, and it's been sorted out. I think it was 10 days ago that we can actually select him again.
And it's funny, when it comes to Coronel's name, every time when we discuss the squad, his name has always been there. If you look at the past year or 2, he's been playing well for the Bulls. So it was also nice for us as coaches to get a green light if you want to select him for SA team. So for me as a coach, with his experience, Cornell will know what he can do, most especially covering 12, covering 13, and also outside back sometimes, And if you look at a mixture of that SAA squad, you know, there's a lot of youngsters up there, you know, and that are exciting. But once again, at least we need some stability around the people that have been there. You know, when the conditions don't allow us, let's say, for example, we want to play some good running rugby, you know, if the conditions don't allow us, you're going to need those experienced players that will keep things together, you know, and try and be direct. And we know Cornell can do that job. We've seen him doing it for the Bulls. So yeah, I'm excited to work with him also.
Stephen? Stephen? Okay.
Thanks, Dee. Sorry about that. My first question is just to Jacques. I'd like to please know just the attributes of Sasha and Mani that got them the nod.
Got 835, 1886. Bloemfontein, julle masterkinders.
Jacques, you muted, I think, or we can't hear you.
Can you guys hear? Yes, again.
Oh, got you now.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Sasha. So the fortunate thing for us now, with having the SAA side and the Springboks together, and we had the whole management together, of coaching teams together at the camp. I mean, Bafana has coached Sasha for some time, you know, so it was nice to tap into his experience of him and all the stuff that they worked on with him within the junior ranks. So it was nice to get that feedback. But in terms, the thing that stood out for me from Sasha, I think, is that obviously he's athletic. I think if you look at, he's an athletic player. He's fast, he's quick, he's agile. He's got good skills. I think he had to make a decision between soccer, football, and rugby. You know, so he's a really skillful guy. And then I think from a defensive viewpoint, he really impressed me for his age. He was he certainly doesn't look afraid and bang, and he stood his ground in the 12th channel. And then Mani, I mean, just Mani. I just think the things, yes, I've myself and Stocker probably came with Mani since 2016, 17. I coached Mani at SA Schools when him and Damian Willemse was together, you know, and Mani at one stage, he was almost where Sasha, I think, is probably now. He's the next prodigy, you know, he's the next guy coming through. Then he went to the Bulls. Then the Bulls not released him. Then he got signed by the Sharks. Then the Sharks released him, and then he eventually came to the Stormers. You know, and I think the mental growth that he had to go through, you know, because everybody expected every game Mani Libbok must do this magic, you know, because he's this magical player, and I think the criticism sometimes when things don't go his way is hard, you know. So hats off to Mani. He's matured since I've worked with him, and obviously he showed his quality in the URC last year, and also now this year in the URC. You know, he's matured a lot, and I think Sasha's probably now again. Yes, everybody Sasha, and he's a brilliant rugby player. But you know, sometimes you're going to disappoint people, and you have to mentally battle through that. You're going to pick up injuries. You have to battle through that. But he's a brave player. Sasha, I'm talking about, but we'll have to see. He's now, if he gets selected in these games, which probably will happen, it will be nice to see him performing at this stage, almost a little bit a step higher to the URC.
Jan de Koning.
Thank you, Zina. Thank you, gentlemen, for the opportunity. Jacques, my question is basically partly answered the question. It's basically a follow-up on the Sasha situation. I mean, we've seen Damian being listed as a utility. Now he's listed as a fly-off. Now Sasha is listed as the utility. Are we seeing the same progress that you guys went through with Damian as a... Rassie, you can also answer. I see.
Yeah,
are we seeing the same process?
Yeah. And Jan, I think, you know, sometimes, you know, we use a 6-2 split. Sometimes we need a 10-15 cover. Sometimes we need a 10-12 cover. Sometimes we need a 10-12-15 cover, depending on who we have. You know, if Cheslin isn't in a team, there's another cover at 10 for you. But Cheslin wasn't; he was injured. When Frans Steyn is in the team, you know, you've got a 10, 12, and 15 cover. If you go, not to say that we're going with 6-2 split. So the nice thing about Sasha is just that he can play 10 and 12. You know, Mani covers 10 and 15. So sometimes people wonder, but why do you have both those flyers from the Stormers? Because the one covers different position after his primary position. So that's a lacquer thing. I mean, a guy like Damien in our eyes now is a fly-off. You know, we see him going to the World Cup as a fly-off. I think people forget that last kick that he kicked over against Wales for us to win that test match. You know, goal kicking we're working on, and there's a lot of guys who can kick really well, and we've been working hard at that. Yeah, and Sasha is brave, you know. Yeah, I don't want to reiterate the point over and over. It's just the 10-15 utility or the 10-12 utility. I mean, and we'll see which one we have to use.
Yeah, just for clarity, my question was, is he the same project now that Damien originally was?
No, that's what I'm saying. Because a guy like Mani can become that. Mani can cover 10-15 for you. Like Sasha cover 10-12 for you. So that's why we're saying we know Mani really well. We know what he can do. We're not sure if I'm not sure if Sasha can play 15. You know, so Damien Willemse can play 10, 12, and 15 at the highest level. Sasha will get to learn now from him how he handles himself in physical situations. You know, how does he attack when pressure is on? So yes, at 10, 12. But Damien gave us a third option as well, which were 15.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, guys. Thanks, everyone. Maybe, Rassie, you could answer this. Hookers, there's only 2 hookers in the box squad, and say Joseph is in the SAA squad. Normally, for a test, you would like to have a third hooker just in case of there's an injury at the captain's run. How do you see that situation?
Yeah, no, I think Dion Fourie actually picked the head of Joseph, just purely picked the head of Joseph at this stage. You know, we have had opportunities during the previous rugby championships, and that's why we show some people would say, listen, we must give guys opportunity and see where they're at, and then they must grow and get better from there. I think Dion Fourie is a real guy, a real option to take to the World Cup, just like a guy like Skalk Brits was. So we have 3 hookers in. You know, we've got Malcolm and Bongi and Dion. And Dion scrums and do the mauling and lineouts and everything at hooker currently for us. And then, you know, you can see the 2 hookers on the other side with Jan Hendrik Wessel who can play loose head and hooker. You know, that covers in the SAA side again. So I think I think we've got good stock at hooker for the 6 games.
Percy?
Thank you so much, Zina. Good day, gentlemen. Zina, I'm assuming I can ask Afrikaans at the end. I was going to ask Coach Mzwandile Stick an English question, please.
Yeah, you can ask in Afrikaans, just in the interest of time, Percy.
Can I ask Afrikaans now?
Jy kan, ja?
Yeah, first one to ask English to me.
Yes.
Coach Stick, thank you so much, Zina. Coach Stick, can I just ask you, I know for you guys, it's all about the collective. You guys are building towards preparing the national side for a possible World Cup or so. But can I ask you on a personal note for the very first time, what are you as a so-called newer coach hoping to get out of this experience? Because come that match against Munster or Bristol, you will be in the hot seat. You will have to, the buck stops with you over those 2 matches. And just briefly about the squad itself, do you perhaps have a possible leader in your mind, Ray?
Yeah, from my side, Percy, you know, it's a great thing for me, you know, to be nominated in the position. You know, if you don't want to be amongst the best in the business, you know, then you don't belong here. You know, but one thing I like about how we do things in our system is that even a lot of decisions that are being made in our squad, and talk about squad selection now, it's a team effort. We all sit down as coaches, we discuss both teams. Jacques has got an input in our team, and then all the other coaches also, they've got an input. So I wouldn't put pressure on myself and make this about me. You know, I've got people around me that I can trust, and even the guys that are also going to join us. For example, we had a camp last week, and all the SAA coaches also in that camp. You know, and everyone has got an input in the boardroom. You know, so I don't want to make this about me, but once again, for me personally, I will like to say, you know what, I'm enjoying the challenge also. You know, and I'm looking forward to the games. It's going to be a tough challenge, but once again, I think I've got the right people around me. Rassie has been that monster. He knows exactly what we're going to be, the challenge we're going to be facing. I've got guys like Felix that I normally communicate close with. He also gave me a lot of input about how things are done on that side. So it's a massive, massive honor, Casey, but once again, I trust the people around me.
Do you have potential leader in mind, man?
Huh?
Do you have potential captain in mind already, sir?
It depends. It depends, because you remember, first things first, the Springboks, they've got the first say. They're going to select their squad. They're going to select their match 25, So remember, we're going to have those players that are going to be operating between the two teams, So Jacques will select the team against Ireland, and then probably will take about 7 players that won't be part of that team to make a squad of 26 for the SAA. So it depends on who Jacques will release on the week, and then we'll always play around with it. But once again, if you look around with our squad, what we've got a lot of leaders in our squad. Seeing a guy like Marvin Ori leading the Stormers, Salman Murad, Thomas Dutoy. So there's a lot of guys that I feel like, if they don't get game time on the other side, I will be open to give them an opportunity, and I'll probably take a leader from those guys that will be released from the top.
I think just to, I don't know, even if we go a few minutes over, sorry, Z, but I think there's lots of hands, and maybe this will answer a few things. Guys and ladies, just like the tour, we actually don't want the squads to be split. We would have been lovely if we had one big touring group, but we just can't manage that. So all the SAA coaches were with us in camp, and they're flying with us over on Saturday evening, and they will be with us the whole island week. The SAA coaches, Joey and Bafana and Vian and all of those guys, and then. So basically, the players within the SAA team, that player can just as well the next week play against France. We don't see them as operating totally apart. Like Joseph was in there. It's just lack of game time. Guy, maybe like whoever the proppers who comes down from the Springbok side. Next week, might have an injury, or that guy plays so well for the SAA team. It's the same time zones. He just hops on a flight and he's in the
Percy, do you have an Afrikaans question just to get things going, just please?
Thank you so much, Zina. Goeiedag, Jacques, kan ek ook vir jou vra, gou vinnig? Jacques, net in Afrikaans, die net wat ek gewoonlik vra vir as al die vrae gevra. Net in kort in Afrikaans 'n samevatting van die samestelling van hierdie groep. Is jy tevrede met hierdie groep wat jy saamgestel het? Jacques, in die tweede deel van my vraag is, jy sal waarskynlik hierdie vraag weet, Rassie sal weet, Mzwandile Stick sal dit weet. Op presies 'n jaar van nou af, die 28 Oktober 2023, gaan die eindstryd van die Wêreldbeker gespeel word in Frankryk wanneer 2 spanne gaan meeding vir die titel wat Rassie Erasmus in die klas van 2019 gewen het daar in Japan. Is jy vol selfvertroue, of miskien kan jy vir myself sê, die groep wat jy vandag gekies het, hoe naastenby is daai groep aan 'n potensiële span, en dink jy daai span kan moontlik volgende jaar op die 28 Oktober in 'n Wêreldbeker eindstryd speel?
Percy, weet jy, as ek vat, jy vra is ek gemaklik met die groep wat ons gekies het? Ja, baie gemaklik in terme van, ek dink as jy kyk na die groep, dis 'n goeie, kan ek maar sê, balans tussen ervare ouens, maar ons gee ook, daar's ook die energie van 'n paar nuwer manne wat daar is. So ek dink baie bly daaroor. Jy weet, jy het altyd die ou met die experience, en dan het jy ook die ou wat die nuwe ouetjies wat inkom, bring hier 'n ongelooflike energie. En ek dink as jy kyk na die 2 spanne, ek dink die spanne is baie naby aan mekaar. So ek dink daar's lekker kompetisie. Ek dink daar gaan lekker kompetisie wees, en soos Rassie nou genoem het, met die voorbeeld van Joseph, jy weet, niks keer ons om Joseph weer by ons te laat speel en sê nou maar 'n Dion Fourie by die SAA span nie. En ek dink as jy vat, ek dink as jy kyk na die World Cup toe, ek dink die spanne is baie naby aan mekaar. Ek dink as jy kyk wat hierdie jaar gebeur het in kampioenskappe, in die rugby kampioenskappe, ek dink tot in die laaste wedstryd, totdat ons teen Argentinië gespeel het, was daar 2 spanne wat dit kon gewen het, jy weet, Nieu-Seeland en ons, en Argentinië, jy weet, as hulle 'n goeie, so daar was 3 spanne in, maar voor daai naweek begin het, van die laaste ronde, kon enige van die 4 spanne die kampioenskappe wen. Ek dink as jy vat Argentinië het Nieu-Seeland gewen in Nieu-Seeland. So ek dink die spanne is baie naby aan mekaar. Ek dink sommer nou terug Italië wat ons nou in hierdie toer speel rondte nommer 3. Jy weet, hulle het vir Wallis gewen in die 6 nasies. So ek dink die spanne is baie naby aan mekaar en ek dink dit gaan 'n lekker dit maak die wêreldbeker in my opinie nogal oop. So ja, nee, ek dink die groep wat ons het, ek dink so stadig maar seker is ons besig om finaliteit te kry in die groep. Maar ek wil nie te gou deure te vinnig toemaak nie. Baie dinge kan nog gebeur in die loop van tot volgende jaar as ek dink ons kampus sal begin in die middel van Junie, jy weet, daarom. So baie dinge kan nog gebeur van nou af tot in Junie.
Nathan?
Thank you, Zina. I just got one English question, one is just a question at the end, if there's time available. Good day. Sure. Good day, gentlemen. Rassie, I was at your guys' training camp. Interesting to see the use of detergent water to wet the balls before practice. Can you just talk us through the purpose behind that, behind the detergent waters? I'm assuming it's to simulate the northern hemisphere conditions.
Yeah, very good question. I think the thing for us is, I think what Ireland has definitely mastered is to play in that kind of weather. And when I was in Ireland, they are so specific on being able to handle the ball in that wet weather. But sometimes when we get there, and I think part of 2016, whatever, when the boys played there, I remember it's always it's been raining the whole last 2 weeks. It looks wet next week, So it's just when I coached at Munster, there's rarely a dry day. So a lot of our guys did play in the Northern Hemisphere, and they're used to that. The Cape Town boys is used to that, who plays here. The Durban boys is used to the sweaty, but soaking wet balls will be something that we're experiencing somewhere. So yeah, it's just something to condition the guys for that kind of pressure with a wet ball.
Can you so?
Thank you very much, Zina. Good morning, gentlemen. I've got one in Xhosa for plastic and one in English for Jacques. I'm going to start with Jacques. Jacques, a quick one. Just talk us through what your plans are. I'm at 13 without Lukhanyo Amen. How long will he be back? And let's also talk us through the selection of Marco van Staden, please.
Okay, on 13, I think we're fortunate there. Unfortunate with a guy like Lukhanyo. He's going to be out for some time. His return to play was probably earmarked for 5 months. So I think he's going to be probably February thereabout. He will be in the mix. And then Jesse obviously is standing up for us there, and we've got probably the nice thing that we have is the amount of utility backs that we have within our squad, So one can always move. Damien Dalenda have played there for us in the World Cup, and numerous times when we made substitutions this year, we moved him out. So I think. Yes, obviously to lose the quality of a guy like Lukhanyo is always tough, but I must say the guys stepping up are doing a sterling job. And then in terms of Marco, yes, Marco was part of us last year, and really did some proper performance for us. But unfortunately, he was out with concussion. I personally went and saw him when we did our alignment camps there, myself, Felix, we had a conversation, we met him and had a good conversation, and he was in the process getting cleared. And fortunately for us, Marco has cleared, and I think he's playing good rugby for the Bulls. And like I said, he was always, if the concussion thing didn't happen, he probably would have been with us continuously.
And then a quick one for plastic in Xhosa. Plastic that time yaphila mansakone. Can just ngobolele man ngokhawuleza manjengo sazisandi ulendo usanele mano Yohano aphelele babona njani, especially mhlawumbe ufana ke noSandi usazisandi ke osemtsha ke mbhoxoko odlala kahle kakhulu no Yohani ke obuya ke emonzakalweni.
Yeah, okokuqala wena Khanyiso, if angabe uyajonga i-players eziphathe SA teams, i-players that have been to structures the SA rugby, I'm talking about the junior teams, when I started out on khumbula kaloku sazi bazidlalile nabo kule nto kwi-under 20s i-baby box osanele nabo ngabafana abakudala bazibonakalisa beke system zethu as i-SA rugby yabona. So I think ngoku lithuba elihle kakhulu elithi xa sifumana ithuba kwiteam njenge-SA sikwazi kaloku ubapha ithuba nabo bakwazi ukubonakalisa basengabafana abakhulayo, kodwa ke into ebalulekileyo ukuthi sikwazi uba xa sifumane opportunities banike bafumane game time bakwazi ukubonakalisa nabo kaloku kwabaqeqeshi bethu. But yeah, ndiyavuya ukubona nam abadlali endizabe ndisebenza nabo baninzi bayajonga nabafana abafana noHenko phaa uVan Wyk, umfana odlala kakuhle kakhulu naye. Abanye ke I've worked with them before, xa ujonga uLibok Omani Libok, ndandisebenze nabo kwi-junior box noGianni Lombard. So ngabafana endibaziyo noko i-potential intle kakhulu bakubo, but ke kubalulekile ngokuba sikwazi ubanike i-opportunity nathi ke loku bafumane i-taste at least ye-test match level. Abafana badlala kakuhle kwi-URC, uyambona nomfana njengosanele nohamba phaa kwi-Lions ufumane i-opportunity ngoku and uyayisebenzisa ithuba lakhe naye. So ndiyabavuyela.
Guys, we are running out of time, so I'm going to take 2 more questions for now, and then we'll go over to the Sunday papers for 5 minutes, please, guys. So that would be Craig and Justin. Craig, you can go.
Yeah, thanks, Ina. Sorry, it's partly on Khanyiso's question on the 13 position. I mean, you've only ever started with the Lendo once, and I just, what is the sort of long-term vision if, let's say, 2 of those guys are injured next year? As I understand it, 13 is your big defensive linchpin. Is there a contingency plan outside of those 3 players?
Okay. Yeah. I think the question there is, like we have 5 scrum halves currently, and then if last 5 years, 3 years ago, we only had 1 scrum half. It was Faf. We all said, listen, guys, where are you going to get a scrum half? And remember, we've Ivan has played, and what's his name has played. Ambrose has played for us, and now we've got 5 guys here who's all already capped Springboks. So things happen quickly, and the moment when Lucanio is ready and Jesse covers for him, I mean, Suleiman Hartzenberg has played 12, 13. He's a young, exciting guy who comes through. Damien has probably in games. Haven't started, but lots of times when you use the 6-2 split, Damien has played more than 50 minutes at 13 center for us. Again, if a guy like Andre Pollard is fully fit and Andre moves out, Damien Willem is going to play 13 for you if Andre starts again. So, it's difficult to say. If we get another injury, yes, we'll have to throw in a youngster there. But that's what happened to us in the Yankees. And we won a World Cup with him during a World Cup. So you can't. Sometimes you have 3 in a position, 2 in a position. Everybody say you're thin. If you look at our fly-offs, no, we're not thin. We're not thin at all. There's 3 guys who play fly-offs who's not available, and still we've got 5 who can play for us here, including Cheslin who can backs for you. So yes, it looks thin, but then if you know where you can shift guys around and get a guy to 13, and get a guy like Suleiman who's played brilliant 13 and 12. Opportunity maybe in the SA side. Yeah, that's another cover and moving players around.
Thanks.
Last question for this session, Justin.
Thank you, Zina. Good morning, gentlemen. Coach Stick, one for you. As rugby players, you always want to strive to play at the very top level, being at Springbok level. You now have coaches coming to the system. And obviously, as I said, rugby prides itself on their coaching sort of pathway. The guys like Bafana and those guys that are now going on tour and being involved in the Springbok mix, how special is that for them? And for you to kind of also, lend your experience to them as to what a Springbok environment is like?
Yeah, I think I have to compliment the people that are in charge, which is the director of rugby and even Jacques, to open the door for those guys, where they were part of us in our camp, and the way how we do things currently in our system. I think that's, for me personally, I'm not saying all the systems must be like that. I think it's one of the best things that you could do for upcoming coaches. Sometimes people want to keep the information, and be insecure about the information, but we know those guys, Bafana, we know Joey, we know those guys are the future. We know they are the future. Actually, I sound like I'm also 50 now. I'm also a young coach. I'm also hopefully, I'm the future also. But the thing is, I just like the policy, how we do things at the Springboks, man. We open the doors for those guys. Vian, you know, I totally understand as a young coach, sometimes you get nervous when you get into the certain systems, but the policy in how we did things the past week with those guys, you know, where even in the boardroom, they've also got an input. You know, there's a lot of information those guys have gave us, more especially with the young players, to think about Bafana spend more time with those youngsters than me in the past 4 years, you know, so why would I not trust the information that I'll get from them? So we really, really enjoy having those guys, and the rugby players they've got, we also enjoy their input. So once again, it's good to have them, and hopefully the results on the field also will show.
Cool. Guys, that wraps up that section. We now literally have 5 minutes. I hope the coaches forgive me for keeping them over for a few minutes. But I know this was a request from Hendrik, so please, guys, we have to keep it short. Hendrik, this was your request, so you can ask the first question.